Jets fans, it's time for tonight's three-star selection. Tonight's third star from your Winnipeg Jets, number 33, Dustin Byfuglien. Tonight's second star with tonight's game-winning goal from your Winnipeg Jets, number 8, Jacob Trouba. And tonight's first star with 30 saves and his second shutout of the playoffs from your Winnipeg Jets, number 37, Connor Hellebuck.
Hearing lots of woos out in the alley outside of the Exchange. Good evening, I'm Jamie Thomas. This is the Jets TV Live post-game show. The Winnipeg Jets are off the second round for the first time in franchise history. They beat the Minnesota Wild 5-0, take the series 4-1, earning the third playoff series win in Winnipeg NHL history and the first since the 1987 Smythe Division semifinals over top of the Calgary Flames. So 31 years. Winnipeg NHL fans, you've been waiting for this moment. So congratulations, you've been waiting patiently, and here it is. The Jets are off to the next round. Not sure when that's going to start, but again, Jamie Thomas with you for the Jets TV Live postgame show. We'll be going inside the Jets dressing room to catch up with the winning team, and of course hear from Paul Maurice, who's now 29 all-time in Stanley Cup playoff coaching history. A couple of notes before we go to the highlights. Happy 80th birthday to Jets fan Ken Matchett, who is watching tonight from Oakville, Ontario. Ken, you've been waiting a long time for this, and we got to pay some bills as well. Jets pass holders today. Jets TV Live post-game promo code is 4CHECK. Log into jetsrewards.ca, enter the code 4CHECK for 50 Jets reward points just for tuning in. That's all you got to do. One of the easiest things you're going to do to get 50 Jets reward points. Let's go to the highlights, ladies and gentlemen, from Bell MTS Place. The Jets unbeaten so far in this building in the postseason. Great start, 31 seconds in. Jacob Trouba on a pass from Mark Scheifele. That opened the scoring, and that was just the start of the fun here in this building. Great pass from Scheifele. Trouba walks in, fires it low stick side on Devin Dubnyk. Then the Jets will make it 2-0. A shot from Dustin Byfuglien with the nifty redirection by Brian Little. Brian Little, one of the guys part of this team in 2015 that did not get a playoff victory. That made it 2-0 Jets on the first 4 shots of the hockey game. Just a great deflection by the veteran centerman. That made it 2-0. And then Brandon Tanev doing Brandon Tanev thing on the forecheck. His quick wrist shot eludes Dubnyk. 3-0 Jets. That is Tanev's first goal of the Stanley Cup playoffs. There he is jumping on the turnover, and then through a screen gets it past Dubnyk, who did not have his best night. 49 seconds later, Dustin Byfuglien unloads from the point. It goes off Joel Armia. That was the type of night it was for the Jets. The bounces going their way. Armia off to the side, hits him high, goes to the net for his first goal of these playoffs. Byfuglien with his second assist of the period. That made it 4-0 for the Jets. And then in the second period, still 4-0. Nino Niederreiter, no goals in this series. In on the breakaway, Connor Hellebuck outweights him. More on Hellebuck a little bit later, since he was named a Vezina Trophy finalist. Impressive stat for that. 5-0 here. It is Wheeler, Stastny, Scheifele for Scheifele's second goal of the night, and a team-leading 4th goal of the playoffs. This was a power play marker. That made it 5-0 for the Winnipeg Jets. And ladies and gentlemen, the building got up to 114.2 when Patrick Laine made it 4-1 in game number 2. As the bell rung on this one, they got up to 114.3. So congratulations, fans, here at Bell MTS Place. You set a new record by 0.1 of a decibel. So you got it just a little bit louder, and for good reason. It is off to the next round for the Jets. Connor Hellebuck, a shutout. So remember, Connor Hellebuck was pulled after the second period of game number 3 in St. Paul. Of course, Steve Mason went in, stopped 7 shots in the third period. And then all Connor Hellebuck did from being, after he was named a finalist for the Vezina Trophy on the afternoon before game number 4, he stopped 30 shots in game 4 for the shutout, stopped 30 more tonight. So Connor Hellebuck, 60 saves for the Jets netminder. Well deserved, as he's certainly the key for this team, especially when things were getting a little bit tight for the Jets in game number 3 in St. Paul, when they were clinging on to that 1-0 lead, thanks to a goal from Mark Scheifele. But Scheifele really picked up his play. I'm getting the signal. Let's go in the Jets dressing room.
Goes through your mind how much pride you have in having captained this team to its first ever NHL playoff series win in franchise history?
It's a great step. It's not time to dwell on that, but at the same time, I think we're proud of the work we've put in. Minnesota was a great team. To advance in the playoffs is a big accomplishment, especially when you're playing a group like that. Has a ton of playoff experience, and every year seems like they're a contender. So those guys had a great season, and like I said, we feel fortunate to be moving on.
What was behind that first period?
I think when you have the opportunity to eliminate somebody, you want to jump on them as fast and hard as possible. I think teams that are on the brink come in with hope, and the faster you take it away from them, the faster you can kind of squash them a little bit. So we just wanted to play them hard and fast, and try to buzz them as much as we could in the first period. And even if it took 2 or 3, we were willing to go the distance. It was just trying to break their will early on.
You break always some goals, but I mean, having now gone 7 straight periods without allowing a goal, the pride that you take in that.
I think what we preach in our room is that we know we're a good offensive team, but we're a better defensive team. It's what's made us good. We have good goaltending, try to play the right way in front of them, and we have an opportunity to win hockey games.
A lot of long summers watching this hockey, so definitely feels nice to be moving on and doing well in the playoffs so far. So, but once you get that action, that taste for it, you want to keep going. And we're celebrating for half an hour in here, then we're getting ready for Nashville.
Was there ever a moment?
Or whoever wins. Sorry, don't want to get ahead of myself.
Was there ever a moment? I mean, you were drafted to this franchise 12 years ago. Was there ever a moment where you thought maybe I won't win a playoff series?
Not really. I mean, you always, no matter how many years you play, you're always looking, to the future, thinking that there's going to be another shot. And honestly, 10 years go by and you were in the playoffs once without a playoff win. I mean, you start to question things and wondering if you're ever going to actually get a chance at it. And the last couple of years, you could just tell this team was forming to be an elite team and a team that could do special things. And we had a great season the way we did, and now I really feel like there's a lot of belief and confidence in this room.
How did your goal feel?
Really good. I mean, I've had chances this series, and to get one like that where it just kind of tips in and goes in really slow, I mean, I'll take anything.
Did you know how that depth has helped you out?
No, I think we have a great system, and I think guys understand their role, and I think the leaders in this group show the way, and the young guys that come in or the guys that don't play a lot come in, and they're doing a fantastic job, and they're just following suit.
Blake talked about jumping out in that first period and kind of taking their hope away. Having shut them out for 7 straight periods, what role do you feel you played in taking that team's hope away?
I guess I did my job, right? And then in the end, I thought the team was great in front of me. The guys, their details are fantastic, and anytime you can get that many in the first period, that kind of sinks the other team, especially deep in a series like this. And they definitely got this one early.
You seem to have the knack of making saves so nonchalantly, and yet the stakes are so high. Was that possible?
Well, I define my game like that. I like to be big and boring, and I like to be in position. I think that's the way goaltending's going, and I think if you're out of position, it means you did something wrong, and I don't like doing things wrong.
Connor Hellebuyck, again, 30 saves for his second consecutive shutout in these Stanley Cup playoffs. And you go back to, let's go back all the way to Game 3, where the Jets lost 6-2 against the Minnesota Wild. They gave up that goal with the buck 37, if my math serves me correctly. There's a minute 37 left in the second period. That was the 6-2 goal. The Jets did not allow a goal for 141 minutes and 37 seconds. That's, of course, the 2 shutouts from Connor Hellebuyck and then the 7 saves by Steve Mason over the final 20 minutes of that Game 3 loss in St. Paul. But the Jets defense really clamping down. They looked a little tentative in the second period when they were up 4-0, maybe hanging back a little bit, but then they started to wake up a little bit more, but all because Connor Hellebuyck stood there. Jacob Trouba's goal in the first period, 31 seconds in, that's the fastest goal to start a game in Jets playoff history. And no, I'm not leaving out the old Winnipeg Jets, Jets 1.0. The previous record was 53 seconds by Randy Carlyle on April 25th, 1985. That was against the Edmonton Oilers. So Jacob Trouba setting a Winnipeg playoff record for fastest goal to start off a playoff game at 31 seconds. 4 players got their first goal of the Stanley Cup playoffs. As I go through things again, Jacob Trouba, Brian Little, Brandon Tanev, and Joel Armia, all in the first period. And the incredible part is just how deep the Winnipeg Jets are. And we haven't even brought up the fact that Nikolai Ehlers was a last-second scratch from this hockey game. Now, he skated yesterday, spoke to the media, faced all the questions about what he got Patrick Laine for his 20th birthday, and that was his presents, basically, and then skated a little bit this morning. So we're not quite sure what exactly the issue was, but we'll touch on that in a second. Let's go back in the Jets dressing room.
You guys came out just, not only were able to score obviously right away, but just dictate the pace that entire first period.
Yeah, that first period was awesome for us. We got in the puck early. We got in front of Dubnyk and made some good shots. So it was definitely a huge start, and pretty excited right now.
Mark, knowing what this win means for the city, what did you take from the crowd tonight?
They've been awesome. They've been awesome all year, and every playoff game we've had here has been unbelievable. And they're definitely a huge part of our start tonight.
The confidence of this group, can you take from the way that Hellebuck's been playing over 141 minutes of shutout hockey? That's a little bit. What does that do for the confidence of you guys in front of him?
Yeah, he's been awesome for us. He's been the backbone for our team all season long, and he is. He's been awesome. That's about it. He's stood on his head and he's made the saves when we need him to make the saves, and he's a big part of our success.
Guys like Brian Little, Toby Enstrom, Buff, and Blake, guys who've been with this franchise for a long time. To see that, I'm sure it feels great for you, but to see those guys and all they've been through get their first ever franchise playoff win, what does that mean to you?
It's huge. It's obviously huge for everyone, but those guys are the guys that have been battling. They battled night in and night out. They're the guys that lead by example on a night-to-night basis, and they're the reason we're the team we are. They're the guys that pick the young guys up and help them through the tough times and the good times as well. And that leadership from our older guys is huge.
Do you have an idea of what it was like in the room before you guys went out for that first period? Was there a lot of talking? Was there nothing else?
It was a normal game. We have some guys talking, some guys getting dressed, but it was a normal game. You can't treat those games any differently. You just have to come out and be ready to play just like every other night. And we did a great job of ramping it up right from the start.
If I'm not mistaken, you had just one goal and no assists through the first 3 games of this series. Was there a point based on what you did these last 2 games where you just kind of looked in the mirror kind of thing and just thought, you know what, I need to do better and I'm going to do better?
We had our chances. We were a little snake bitten, and Dubnyk obviously is a great goalie. He made a lot of big saves, but we just stuck to it. We knew we were playing solid. We knew we were playing good in the D zone and letting the offense take over when we did. And through the first few games, when you get snake bitten, you don't want to change anything up. You just want to keep working hard and keep doing the same things, and it paid off in the end.
So does it feel like
Mark Scheifele with 2 more goals tonight in this hockey game, so he's up to 4 in the postseason. He leads the Jets in goal scoring after the first round of the playoffs. Was talking about Nikolai Ehlers. Skated a little bit this morning. We saw him take some shots. Of course, the Jets' Instagram put a post up of Ehlers taking a shot at practice this morning. So we were surprised, as you guys were, when he did not take a part of the warm-up this evening at 6 o'clock. So he was out. That allowed Matt Hendricks to come into the lineup. So there was some line shifting. The only line that stayed intact, of course, was the Scheifele, Wheeler, Connor line. So the other lineups were Little on the left side, Stastny and Laine, Kopp on the left, Lowry up the middle, Joel Armia on the right, and then Tanev, Hendricks, and Roslovic. The Hendricks line didn't get a lot of ice time, but Hendricks was out there. First time he's made an appearance for the Winnipeg Jets in this postseason. So the fact that they had no Nikolai Ehlers, Joel Armia left this hockey game after the first period with an upper body injury. So this break couldn't come at a better time. Of course, Tyler Myers, we haven't even talked about him coming back into the lineup this evening after missing part of Game 3 and all of Game 4 with a lower body injury. And that meant Tucker Pullman got some more ice time, so he played this evening. Tyler Myers skated alongside Jacob Trouba. And I will say this, whoever the Jets have had defensively back on the blue line, they did a tremendous job in this series. Of course, the Minnesota Wild's top 4 goal scorers were Eric Stahl with 42, Zucker with 33, Granlund 21, and Niederreiter with 18. Those 4 players combined for just 2 goals this entire series. So it just speaks to how great of a job whoever was playing defense for the Jets and the Jets forwards, and of course Connor Hellebuck did on the snipers for the Minnesota Wild. Let's go back in the dressing room. Here's Paul Stastny.
It was maybe the most dominant period of this series in the way that you started that game.
I think we played aggressive. I think we didn't sit back. We knew that if we played our game, if we got a couple goals early, then in the back of their minds we could try to make them crack. When you're down 3-1, and we're playing the way we want to play. We're confident at home. We just didn't change it. We didn't change our style, and our big guys first shift there get a big goal, and then from there on, I think every line just kept going and kept attacking. And whether it was scoring or whether it was creating power plays or creating chances, we kind of played like that the whole game. And then second period, we kind of sat back a little bit, but third period back to being aggressive the way we wanted to play. And it's a good learning experience no matter what the score of the game is, no matter what game the series is. When
when we play the way we want to play and when we dictate, we put ourselves in a good position.
You use the term "make them crack." Do you feel there's maybe a part of you that thinks that you made them crack in that game 3 by shutting them out in their own building?
No, I just think it's just common knowledge, whether you're down 3-0 a series or you're down 3-1. You're on the road. It's always in the back of the minds. I've been in that situation. No matter how strong you are mentally, I think there's always a seed of doubt no matter what. And also if they're down a goal or two and you're playing in a building like this, a hostile environment that we feed off that crowd, it's tough to come back. So that's the mindset. Of guys that have been in that position before in the past, or when you play in tough buildings like that, sometimes it just think, everyone, we come on top of you and the fans just make it louder and make it harder.
Did you feel like, you've been on the losing end, the winning end of series, for guys in this organization who haven't done this before, did you almost feel like a sense of relief by some of your teammates that they got over this hump?
Yeah, but I mean, these guys are so young, so I think once you got that first win, I think that was nice. Once you got that first road game out of the way, we lost, but I think we faced adversity. Our emotions got a little too high. I think we learned from that, and that's just part of playoff experience. That's part of a 7-game series. Is nothing's gonna go your way. You're face adversity, and it's kind of how you bounce back. And we did a good job bouncing back, and leaders on this club kind of led, and we just kind of followed suit.
Paul Stastny with an assist tonight. It was on Mark Scheifele's power play goal there in the third period. And how big of an acquisition was he at the trade deadline along with Joe Morrow? Joe Morrow has been a staple alongside Dustin Byfuglien throughout this playoff ride. And I'm just saying it's just starting this playoff ride, I should say. Dustin Byfuglien had 5 assists in this series. I believe he's tied with Mark Scheifele for the scoring lead for the Winnipeg Jets after 5 games in the playoffs. We spoke of Tyler Myers. I believe the media is still in the Jets dressing room, so we have still more comments to come. Of course, we're going to hear from Paul Maurice in the Matt Frost Media Center. Curious to see. I'm sure we won't have that much of an update on Joel Armia and what's going on with Nikolai Ehlers. Everything's very secretive this time of year, but maybe we'll have a little something that Paul Maurice can share with you a little bit later this evening. Tyler Myers said he was stuck at Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport right after between games 3 and 4, and he had to answer some questions from people. Didn't give them that many answers. Found that very funny, and also received a text from Marcus Foligno. He said it's all good. There's no hard feelings whatsoever after that injury, but he's been very good. Was great again tonight on the side of Jacob Trouba. Tucker Poolman played .817 in his playoff debut on Sunday. Had another solid evening tonight. Had an odd man rush and an opportunity to get the Jets another goal, but fired the shot high of the net. Paul Maurice mentioned beforehand, because of Josh Morrissey being on the lineup tonight with his 1-game suspension for the cross-check to the head of Eric Stahl from game number 4. He was not in the lineup, so the Jets were down to 2 left-handed shots. That's Sherratt and Joe Morrow, so they had to have somebody playing their offside, and that turned out to be Tyler Myers playing on the left side with Jacob Trouba, and again played very well. It's just such an impressive thing and such a positive thing, because you go back to seeing the 6'8" Tyler Myers laying on the ice in front of the Winnipeg Jets bench. He was down there for a significant period of time, and you were concerned about his health going forward in the series after only playing 11 games last year. Played in all 82 games in the regular season this year, so to see him go down that way was hard to watch. But he got up underneath his own power, went down to the Jets dressing room underneath his own power. So then you were wondering, then there were rumors circulating that he would play today, and you could just tell there was that emotional lift for the Winnipeg Jets when Tyler Myers took part of the morning skate, and then clarified to everybody. The media is now moving into the Matt Frost Media Center. We will have Paul Maurice. We don't have our radio, so our producer Ryan Dichter's got a huge computer that's got on the screen waiting on Coach now. So I pass that information on to you. This is what happens when technology bails on you. But thank you very much to our producer for letting us know about that. Listen, there's so many places to give the credit to for this hockey club, and they're so full of depth, as shown by the players that have been out of the lineup in these playoffs and throughout the regular season. They've been outstanding. Whatever moment has come up, they were down 2-1 in game 1 of the series after taking a 1-0 lead going into the third period here on home ice. The nerves were there trying to win that first playoff game in franchise history, and then Patrick Laine scored the 2-2 goal, and then the Jets were off and running in that one. Then they faced some more adversity in game 3, losing 6-2. Of course, Connor Hellebuck gets pulled after the second period after giving up 6 goals. Then he bounces back, and his record has been phenomenal after giving up 5 or more goals. I think he went 12-1-1 this including the playoff game victory in game number 4. So credit goes to him, and then other guys stepping in throughout this playoff series. And the Jets didn't have Josh Morrissey, did not have Toby Unstrom. They don't have Dmitry Kulikov, so you're missing 3 of your top 6 defensemen already in this series, but guys just keep coming in and getting the job done, and it's almost automatic. Even when you go in as a member of the media, you're wondering how you can ask that next question. How are you going to deal without blank? How are you going to go without this individual? That has been the case all year, and they've answered the bell time and time again. And you saw the focus on the captain's face, Blake Wheeler, not really looking like he's enjoying that moment that much. You know, when the media leaves the room, I assume he's going to be having a much better time, but he's already focused on the next series, and we don't know who that opponent will be in the next round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Of course, in the other Western Conference semifinal, it's the Vegas Golden Knights taking on the San Jose Sharks. That series will be starting next week, we assume. And now we're just trying to figure out who's going to be the Jets' next opponent in round 2. It'll either be Nashville or Colorado. Nashville with a golden opportunity to wrap up their series. They lead that one over top of the Avalanche 3-1. Andrew Raycroft getting the starting goal tonight for the Colorado Avalanche. They've had many, many injuries between the pipes this season. Semyon Varlamov, Jonathan Bernier have had issues staying healthy all year long, but somehow, some way, the Avalanche willed their way into the playoffs. Maybe they'll will themselves into a Game 6 back in Denver. We'll have to see for that one. The other game that was an elimination contest tonight in the National Hockey League Stanley Cup playoffs was the Philadelphia Flyers in Pittsburgh taking on the Penguins. The Penguins led that series 3-1, but the Flyers got a late goal in period number 3, and they double up the Penguins. They got that late goal to make it 3-2, then got an empty netter to make it 4-2 the final. So Game 6 of that series will be in Philadelphia. The Flyers with a chance to stretch it to 7 games. The other series, if you look out east, the Washington Capitals and Columbus Blue Jackets will go 6 games for certain. So we're wondering if there will be a 7th game in any of these playoff series, which is usually the case. Usually these are the best series in the Stanley Cup playoffs, is the opening round when everybody's somewhat healthy and have all that energy. But by all means, it looks like most of these series will be not going to 7 games. The Winnipeg Jets, one of them, of course, finishing off the Minnesota Wild 5-0, chasing Devin Dubnyk in this one after he gives up 4 goals in the first period. Alex Stalock came in, did an admirable job in a tough spot, only gave up the 1 goal, which was a power play marker courtesy of Mark Scheifele. Of course, these, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, it's so important the Jets have this time to rest. There's lots of bumps and bruises throughout the lineup. Tyler Myers is going to have some extra time to heal things up. What will it mean for Dmitry Kulikov? Toby Enstrom is skating a little bit right now. You have to wonder, will Matthew Perreault be getting back anytime soon? Of course, he left game number 2 with an upper body injury, so we'll have to wait and see. As far as game 1, he left that after a big hit from Mika Koivu in the second period. So we'll have to see if the time off allows him to heal up and get back in the lineup. Jack Roslovic's another great player, a great example of the depth for this hockey club, getting the job done so far. Lots of time off. You'd have to assume that this Game 7 of this series, had it been scheduled or had it gone through, would have been Wednesday here at Bell MTS Place. So you got to wonder when it is exactly round number 2 will start. But of course, that all applies into what the Nashville Predators or Colorado Avalanche start to do. And I'm just going to take a quick look to see on the scoreboard what's going on. It is 0-0 after 1 period of play between the Predators and the Colorado Avalanche. The Predators are on the power play, and they'll do so starting the second period. So we'll keep you up to date on that one as we wait for Paul Maurice, and I believe Paul Maurice is ready to go right now in the Matt Frost Media Center.
Because it's, that idea that it's, well, you know what, the answer is take a look at that game. So even with the lead that we had going in the second period, they came out and continued to fight, and Connor was the difference in that second, holding that. So that if you give anybody life, they'll get better. So we needed to get on the game early. I think we did. Well, clearly we were really good in the first, and lots of pucks to net. Got a few breaks around there. I didn't think we'd been getting many of those. So it was important. The start was very important.
What's going through your mind when the final buzzer sounds, and what you got that first franchise win for this group?
I was off the bench and halfway down the hallway before I remembered I had to shake hands. Been a while. The goal that made it 5-0, I think, kind of settled the period down, and that was about it. Next day, tomorrow.
Paul, before you were able to escape down the hallway, the fans were chanting your name. Not sure if you heard it, but I can't remember the last time I've heard a coach's name chanted.
Yeah.
What did that feel like?
don't know. I didn't catch it. I can't make out most of what they say. Not just from the bench. It's usually when the coach's name's getting chanted, it's not a very good thing, Falls. So we'll just hope it never happens again.
Paul, you've been around hockey a long time. This town's hockey fans, fans who chant your name, they've had a rough run, right? The 80s, the Oilers beat them for fun, and then they're in the Central. Chicago's winning cups. They've finally got a team here now that's solid and has a chance, and there's no big monster in their way.
They're not long-suffering fans because they love the game first. So I get that, right? They had a hard time with the teams in Alberta, like just everybody else in the National Hockey League did. But they were still very passionate about that game. And we get all the cameras that you guys have. So we got the camera in the coach's room before the game. We see the crowd in the stands, and we see the crowd out in the street. And they love the game of hockey. It's almost secondary to the good time that's going on here now because they love the event of it, right? They love the Jets and the happy, but it's almost like we're kind of secondary to what's going on in the city, and I think that's a great thing. I don't find them to be long-suffering fans. I think they just love the game. We got a good team now, so it gets even better for them. Got a good young team, so I think it's going to be a good team for a while for them. But I think they just appreciate it. I think they were pretty happy on the first tour of the Jets, and they're going to be pretty happy now.
Paul, the first two periods of Game 3, in retrospect, how big of a role did that play? And you guys didn't give up a goal from that point on in the next 7+ periods. And maybe falling so far behind, was that a teachable moment and ultimately a pretty good tool?
We really played 3 games, and we give Connor the credit for it, of almost shutout hockey. They scored a goal late on a power play where we didn't have the killers out that we normally would. We were winding a game down. You know what? We played well. All of these games are tighter than the score will tell you it is, because all it is one puck going in, or Connor makes one save and it keeps it 2-0 instead of 2-1, and that changes games. So they're all quite a bit. But we didn't like our Game 3, and I think I got a good reason why. I mean, that's an unusual situation we went through. Other than that, we've been pretty good.
Besides the obvious scoring the goal 31 seconds in, was this the most effective you've seen Jacob Trouba in the 5 games that he's played?
For sure. Since he's come back from his injury, this was his strongest game. And good players will sense that the time they need to step up and kind of take a step forward. So he's got a new partner there. Tyler's coming in off injury. And he brought his A game.
Just a question on Nikolai Ehlers, a bit of a surprise there with him not coming out. Matt Hendricks told us that he sort of first got wind that he might be a player last night. So was this something that Ehlers was battling, or?
Yeah, he just wasn't feeling right, so we didn't put him in. He skated yesterday, skated today, wasn't quite where we wanted it to be. Would have made a different call at 2-2 or 3-3 probably, but at 3-1, wanted to be real sure.
So just to be clear, would it be an illness as opposed to an injury?
Yeah. It's just kind of a malaise.
Brian Little changes lines, changes position, scores a goal. This guy's been here over 10 years and finally gets to win a series. What do you think about him, and what do you think this moment means?
I think he's been great all series. With different, he's the line that kind of, when somebody goes down, he loses a winger, we get a new player for him. But his play in all the games was really good. I'm happy that he scored, because he's deserved something good to happen to go in the net to get recognized for it. And there are a handful of guys that have been here for the 6 years, and it's been a grinder, and especially the last 2 years, because all of this youth movement idea is fine and well, but it's the veteran guys in a lot of ways that pay for it, right? I kept putting the kids on the ice. They make a mistake, they went back out. But the veteran were the guys who had the cameras in their face over the last 2 years, but they all understood the shortest distance to us going from where we were to getting better was playing these kids all the time, and that included Connor Hellebuck. So it's been a grinder for those guys. I'm glad that he gets to have that feeling winning a playoff series, scoring a goal in the deciding game.
And Paul, just throw one more on injuries. Can you give us any update on Steve Mason and Joel Armia, who left there after the first?
No, I can't because I don't have anything yet on them. And then when I do, I won't.
You commented a bit on Jacob Trouba's big game, and with the suspension to Morrissey, we were all looking at the defense tonight.
Right.
Can you say a little bit about Dustin Byfuglien, another guy you counted on quite a bit?
First period, a dominant game, right? And that's what you need to settle it in. So he's has to play now maybe slightly different role against different lines, generated an awful lot, but was real solid in the first, I thought especially good. But I thought, all of them. Tucker Pullman's game since he's been in is good. And I know it's limited minutes, but a market different than, I think it was in Edmonton, his first NHL game. You're really good. So all those guys on the back end, the first were really good. The second, we weren't a particularly good hockey team, but really good in the first game.
Can you explain, I'll be the one guy that asks this, but can you explain the second period that seemed to be a little bit of sitting back?
Right, I can. I think that you could feel it on the ice in practice yesterday. We were going. It's as hard. It's a very short practice, but it's been as hard as I thought we skated in months, and sharp and on it. And they brought that right to the first period. So these guys want to win bad. You get a 4-0 lead, and they don't have a lot of experience with that. We've got the big lead, and we just took a half step to slow, which would be no different than our game 3. And Connor wasn't any different than the rest of the players. Here, Connor was really good in the second, but we took that half step to slow, and then nobody's good in the playoffs playing like that. And then we got right back on. I think it's the first time dealing with that kind of lead in a deciding game where you put so much focus and energy to being good. We took a deep breath, right? Figured out we can't do it. Our goalie was good, so it didn't cost us anything. And then I thought we got right in the third. We were good.
And you've got kind of an interesting rhythm coming up, not sure exactly when or exactly who your next opponent's going to be.
Yeah.
How do you manage the rhythm of that and make sure that the emotions, you get to enjoy it, you get to sort of take your pause and come back ready?
We'll have a good idea where it's going to start in a couple of days. So even at the end of the regular season, you're waiting to find out who's starting Wednesday and Thursday. I'm pretty sure everything starts Thursday. We'll see. But we'll take the exact same template and prep days for this and apply it to next week. We may have to shift it a day. We won't skate 3 days in a row, so we may move some things around. But the routine will be exactly as it was for Minnesota.
Paul, what's the biggest thing your group will take from the ability to close out a series?
All of the things, the only thing we really didn't face this year was an overtime game, right, in the first series. But we had the tightness of the first game, your first win, first loss, first road win, first opportunity to close the series out. So these are all new things to us, but at the end of the day, it was all how we played the game of hockey itself. So we'll move all of those into what will be a more contested series as you move forward, more competition, more confident teams anyway. Everybody who gets to that second round's feeling pretty good about where they're at. So just keep the first coming here and keep handling them.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, guys.
That's just a great explanation from Paul Maurice, answering the question about what kind of went wrong, or I guess wrong is not really the way. They were going so hard in that first period tonight where they were jumping to that 4-0 lead, and they just seemed to take a step back. So tremendous explanation from Paul Maurice on what he thought happened. And of course, the Jets win this game 5-0, win the series 4-1. The Jets are the 13th team in NHL history to conclude a best-of-7 series with back-to-back shutout victories. And before I leave you tonight here in the Jets TV Live postgame show, the Jets become the 30th of 31 NHL franchises to win a playoff series. Thinking to yourself, which team in the National Hockey League right now has not won a single playoff series? The Columbus Blue Jackets. Thanks for watching, everybody. Really appreciate you tuning in throughout the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Jets are on to round number 2. They'll find out very soon who their opponent will be, whether it's Nashville or Colorado. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great night.